Hi, y'all. So, I've been thinking about doing this video for some time now, but I'm a very private person and I don't really like to open up certain conversations, but it's like weighing heavy in my heart, and I really feel like I need to discuss this and kind of just let this out for someone to hear. Because I feel like if it helps one person, then everything that I went through was worth it. So I'm just gonna dive right in. This is kind of about my testimony on how I gave my life to the Lord. I would say that I was raised in a Catholic home. Like, my family was Catholic, but it wasn't like instilled in me like the Catholic church and stuff like that. Like, I did do like CCD and I did do like my confirmation and my communion, but like I was always taught about God and like to pray and to know that there is a God, but I didn't really understand Catholicism. I didn't understand the Catholic Church. I didn't understand religion altogether. But I did believe in God because that was something that was kind of like instilled in me. Like, yeah, there's a God. Yeah, believe in him. Yeah, pray. So I remember when I was little, like I would pray, like help me get good grades, like help me pass this test, and I wouldn't study, like little stuff like that, right? Because you're young. But I did like believe in him, and I did go to church, and I did go to Catholic school for 2 years. Not gonna talk about that, but it was just weird for me because like I would take a religion course and I still didn't understand it. I still didn't get it. Like, I took the test and it was one of those things like you memorize it just for the test and then boom, like it's out the next day. Don't remember anything about it. Still can't tell you what it was about or how I even passed. But yeah, as I got older, after praying constantly, like I did feel like I had a one-on-one relationship with God. I didn't still understand the whole religion aspect, but I felt like I wasn't Catholic. I was more spiritual, and I kind of like took myself out of that for a while. Like, I would tell myself like I don't believe in the Bible because I felt like the Bible was part of Catholicism, like it was part of religion, and like I didn't know the Bible, I didn't read the Bible. I just knew that like I prayed to God and I had a relationship with him. So in 2015, I was like living like the best year of my life. I was like eating healthy, I was working out, I was traveling a lot the whole year. I had my own place. I loved my job. Very good job, very stress-free. Like, I remember I was just in a really good point in my life, and one day I started feeling like pain in my leg, and it was just like a weird feeling. It wasn't like hurting. It was just like a weird feeling that I couldn't really describe. I went to a doctor and they were just like, we don't see anything this looks wrong. Just keep an eye on it. And I was like, okay. And then as the months went on, it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I went to several doctors. They sent me to like a pain management specialist. They sent me to like all kinds of different specialists because they really couldn't pinpoint what was wrong. And they would look at my leg and they would say like there's nothing that's visible that we can say, hey, this looks wrong, something looks wrong. So for months I was dealing with that. I would say about 5 months I was in pain. Like, it started off slow and it gradually got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I remember to the point where I would get up, go to work, come back to work, and just stay home because I couldn't like stand. I felt like fatigue. I felt like I couldn't like wash the dishes. I couldn't cook. I couldn't, like, it was drastically like my whole body was weak. It was weak, and I was trying to like, I kept trying to like walk on the pain, and it got to a point where I couldn't walk at all. Like, I was limping. And when it got to that point, I went to the hospital 6 times 1 month. 6 times I went to the emergency room, and I kept telling them there's something wrong, there's something wrong. I don't know what's wrong because I'm not a doctor. This is the first time that I'm feeling this pain. I'm starting to get like anxiety. I am, for the first time in my life, anxiety. And I mean like bad, because I was so worried and I felt so much fear that I just, like, I wanted to control or know at least what was wrong so that I could take the steps to make things better. And I was in a point in my life where I was like in a standstill. I had to like just wait it out and keep like researching, keep going to specialists, and keep trying to find out. They have given me so many different kinds of medications to try this, try that, try this, try that. Let's see if this works. I've tried them all. It was just what I can explain for that 5 to 6 months in my life. I would just say that the word that best describes it is suffering. And that's exactly what it was. It was just pure pain to the point where I couldn't walk. Doctors were starting to think that I was crazy. The very last, the 5th time I went to the hospital, my doctor told me, Erica, if you go to the hospital one more time, I'm gonna have them like check you out and like put you in like one of those hospitals to make sure that you're okay, like basically a nut house. And I'm just like, I got so like paranoid after that I didn't go to the hospital ever again, because I was just like, oh my God. And I started to doubt myself. But at the same time, I knew something was wrong, and I just didn't know like who to talk to or where to go. Like, I, had a lot of good friends that were older than me that were giving me really great advice. But at the same time, they weren't doctors either. No one really knew what was going on. So finally, around New Year's, I remember trying to take a shower, and I remember I felt so faint, and I was trying to sleep, and I found myself, when I would fall asleep, I would wake up in the middle of the night like this, like gasping for air, right? And I was like, oh my God, like something is really wrong, and I don't know what it is. That night, New Year's, 2016, I went to the hospital one last time, and this time I was just like, if they put me in a nut house, whatever, it is what it is. I couldn't even drive. Like, it was the leg that was hurting was my driving leg. I couldn't walk. I was limping. I couldn't really drive. And I threw myself to the ER one last time with my mom by my side. My mom had came down. She was living in Alabama at the time. I was living in New Jersey by myself. So she had come down to try to like help me as well, because she knew something was wrong, but we couldn't figure it out. So we went to the hospital for the 6th time, right? I go, and they're like, she's back again, right? They're like, oh, Erica, what's wrong? And I'm like, listen, there's something wrong. I really need you to check, do whatever tests you need to do again, please. So they were like, okay, we'll try this test. I don't know. I don't know what kind of test it was, because they've done like CT scans, they've done like MRIs on my head, like all kinds of tests. They did it all, right? This time, they did a test because I was starting to feel pains in my groin, and they were like, well, is it your leg or is it your groin? And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's the whole damn leg. It's the whole leg. It hurts. And they're like, okay, well, it's got to be either or. This is the emergency room. Like, which pain is it that we need to handle first? And I'm like, please just help me. Like, I'm in pain and I don't know why. So they did this test, and it was called a Doppler, right? but they did it from my groin, like, because that's what they decided to work on. They did it from my groin. They said, Erica, everything looks fine, you're good to go. And I was just like, really? I'm good to go? Like, no, something is wrong there. They basically said they couldn't do anything for me. So I said, all right, fine. I went back home. The next day, I get a call that says, from the ER, the doctor says, Erica, I need you to come back. We think we found something, but we need to retest you just to make sure. But please, like, come. And I was like, oh no. This time, I was more like, I was more excited because I kind of felt like, all right, like there might be an answer. There might be an answer. Mind you, this whole 6 months, I've never prayed. I've never prayed so much in my entire life. Listen, I prayed so hard, and I was just like praying, like, oh, God, figure out an answer. Please let these doctors know. Let them, like, figure this out. Please, anything, right? So this time I was like, all right, well, I got the phone call. This time I'm going to pack a bag because I feel like I might be here for a really long time. So I packed, well, my mom packed a bag for me with a bunch of clothes. And then we head back to the ER. They did the test again. And they said, Erica, the test came back. You have blood clots from your groin down to your ankle, as well as a blood clot in both lungs. So we need to admit you and have surgery. I started breaking down crying because I was happy, but at the same time, like, scared. I was happy that they found something after months. I was also scared because I didn't know, like, what now? Like, I've never had, like, any major surgery in my life. Like, what? So we went, and at the same, I was mad too, because I'm like, I've been here so many times and you guys didn't believe me. You guys did not believe me at all. You guys thought I was nuts, right? So we went, they admitted me. They tried to do this surgery where they basically tried to vacuum the blood clots out. But I was so weak. I had lost so much weight. I was probably like 100 pounds, and that is not, I've never been like 100, maybe like, I think like 105. I remember like 105, 106. I had dropped so much weight, like my leg was like, just, that's how it looked like. The skin was just like flapping. So I was just completely weak and fatigued from the pain, the months of trying to continue to walk on this pain. So we had scheduled the surgery for the following day. They started running all kinds of blood tests on me. They had to take blood out of me every 2 hours. That is my worst nightmare. If anyone knows me, knows that my big phobia is having my blood taken out. And this is, so when you think about anxiety, this was like my worst fear. And for 7 days, I was in the hospital. For 7 days, I was hospitalized. We tried to do this surgery. And I remember the day before the surgery, this is the moment that I knew, and in my heart, I really gave my life to God. Because this night, I prayed, but I prayed a different prayer. Before, all my prayers were like asking God, like, help them find something, help them do this, help them do that, help, what doctor do I need to see, help me, like, give me some answers, God. But this prayer was a different kind of prayer. Oh my God, I'm not gonna do this. This prayer, I said to him, like, God, whatever it is that you want for me in my life, whether it is for me to, like, if this is the end, like, give me the strength and knowledge to just be understanding on, okay, this is it. Like, all right, I give my life to you, whatever outcome it is that you want. But also, if it's not my time to go, please give me the strength to keep going, because whatever it is that you want, like, I want to do it for you. I give my life to you, whatever outcome it is, I'm fully for it, right? This prayer, I didn't realize that all the times that people say in church, like, oh, you got to give your life to the Lord. You got to give your life to the Lord. You got to surrender it to him. You have to, that's when you know that you are a Christian or you believe in him, right? I didn't really realize that that's what I was doing when I was praying that prayer, right? So, but I was, and I wasn't doing it intentionally. It happened to like be that way, right? So the very next day, I go through the surgery, and I'm on like the surgery table. They have me like on my stomach because they have to go behind my knee with whatever stuff they had to put. I remember they gave me like one of those masks that like was kind of like a sleeping gas. It wasn't anything that was like to knock me out, like any really crazy anesthesia. Like, I was still up, I was still feeling the pain. So they tried to do the surgery, and I remember screaming. I was in pain. I was in pain while they were trying to do the surgery, and I remember like fading away. Like, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't like I was starting to hear, like, I heard the doctors, but it was like fading away. And I remember the nurses say, stop, you have to stop, her heartbeat. And I was in such a point where I couldn't scream. I couldn't scream at all. I was just like, I was zoned out, but I could kind of hear what was going on, but I couldn't see what was going on either. And I just remember them saying, you have to stop now. They had to stop the surgery and put me back into my room. They had to cancel it because I was literally gonna die on that table. It was so bad. Like, the nurses came to me, the doctor came to me and was like, listen, we almost lost you. If we did not stop, we almost lost you. So I remember the next day they were just like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you on blood thinners and kind of just like see if the blood clots like dissolve on their own. I had 2 blood clots in my lungs. I was having a hard time breathing. They had to give me oxygen and stuff. Like, it was serious. It was really bad. So yeah, they started to put me on blood thinners to see if this would dissolve on its own. And they said, just so you know, this can take years for it to dissolve because of how much blood clots you have. And then they tested me, and basically I have a blood clotting disorder, which is a gene mutation from my father. So my blood automatically clots. So the traveling that I did, I was on and off birth control, and my gene mutation just made it worse. So after days of me being in the hospital, and after that surgery, my leg finally swelled up, and the doctor said the reason why we didn't think anything was wrong with your leg is because it didn't swell up. Usually when you have blood clots, your leg swells up. My leg didn't swell up until I was actually there after the surgery, and I was laying in the bed all the time, because at this point I couldn't walk at all. Like, even to lift myself up, to put myself in a chair from the bed to the chair, I couldn't do. They had to give me like one of those bedpans, and I had to use the bedpan. Like, I could not walk at all. I was not walking. So, and even to like get out of the hospital, They had to give me like a walker. I had a walker. I had to go to physical therapy for 3 months, 3 times a week. It was a really rough time in my life. And since then, I've been having more and more problems because of the medical situation, and because of my blood clotting disorder, and because of me being on blood thinners. Any little medication or anything that I take for my body, I have a major reaction. So for me personally, I have to be very careful with what I take, with what I do, any physical activities, being out in the sun. I bruise easily. I take longer to heal. It's just so many things, right, that comes with it. But this is my life. I've accepted it. But I have, like, truly feel like I was saved. My life was literally saved. And what I did forget to mention is that the reason why I was having those problems breathing at night was because of the blood clots in my lungs. The doctors were saying that I was having anxiety, an anxiety attack, but that wasn't why. It was because of the fact that I couldn't breathe because there were blood clots in my lungs. So that was that. And then what was I gonna mention? So after that, I like really feel that I gave my life to the Lord, and I started doing whatever I wanted as far as, like, you know, praying and kind of listening more to him, and just really like doing the impossible. Honestly, like, I moved from New Jersey to Alabama. I stood in Alabama for a year, then I moved to Florida. Like, things that I wouldn't do normally, I've said, you know what? This is my second chance in life. I'm going to do any and everything possible that I felt like I wouldn't have done before. I'm going to do it now because I have this chance, and I'm going to, like, live it to the fullest. Like, I really am. Like, I used to say to my mom, like, every day is a holiday. And I really do feel that way. Like, every day I wake up and I'm like, wow, I'm blessed with another day. My life could have been taken 4 years ago, but God told me that that's not the plan for me. He has something for me, and I'm going to do something with it, right? So I did start going to church as of a year and a half ago. And I found a church down here in Florida. Amazing. And I was very skeptical. I was kind of like, I don't know about this church life. But this is actually a Christian church. So it was different for me. I started with first going to church, like, online for like weeks. And I started like worshiping. I love, like, the Christian music. I love gospel music. I love all music, right? As far as just talking about the Lord and stuff. So, and like, just little by little, I felt him changing me, changing my heart. And then I started actually going to church by myself. Like, that was a big thing for me to do. But I did start doing it, and I was just like, wow, I really like this. This is moving me. This is really changing me, right? So I started doing that, and I really finally I was going consistently, and it like speaks to you. It kind of gives you wisdom. It gives you so much that I felt like it gave me so much wisdom in a short amount of time. For like 10 years, I don't think that I had wisdom at all. And now I feel like I make so much better decisions in my life that if I knew when I was younger, I wouldn't have made certain decisions. But yeah, I just really, I love the Lord. I love being Christian. I don't push any religion towards anyone. I feel like that's a personal decision that everyone needs to make on their own. So if you see certain posts, that's I speak about myself and my life, and I know what he's done for me. And after going to church for a while, and I got involved into like a women's group, there was a woman that was like, oh, she was like, remember that part in the Bible that there's a woman about the blood issue? And I was like, what? what do you mean? Like, tell me, like, give me the chapter. Like, I want to read it. And I read on it. And it's so crazy because there's actually a woman in the Bible that, like, Jesus is in a crowd and she sees him and she just runs straight to him, and she's like, in her mind, she's saying, if I could just touch him, I know that I'll be healed. This woman had a blood issue for 12 years. Her blood issue was that she constantly kept just bleeding out. And there's so many different kind of blood disorders, and I relate to this 100% because this woman ran to Jesus and she just touched his garment, and she was like, I know if I could just touch him that I'll be healed. And it reminds me of when I was in pain and how I felt like if I prayed to him this one last time and I tell him whatever it is, the decision that he wants, that this is my outcome, I'm fine with it. And I feel like that kind of relates to what she was going through in that moment. She was like, if I could just touch him, I'll be healed. Jesus turned to her and he said, my woman, your faith alone has made you healed. The fact that you believe, you're healed. And I just feel like that is what happened. He answered my prayer. Like he saw that I believed in him no matter what. And that's why I feel like he healed me after that. And he was watching over me over my surgery. He was watching over the doctors over my surgery. And there's this one picture that I see and I post sometimes that it's like Jesus putting his hand on like the surgeon that's working on the patient. And I feel like that was 100% me, because when I got out of that surgery, the doctors and the nurses were like, wow, we read your chart and we're like in shock. Like, doctors were saying that they were in shock and they were like, we didn't think that you were gonna make it. Like, so for me, I was just kind of like, wow. So I hope that this inspires somebody. Also, like, learn on signs of blood clots. There's not a lot of information about it, but there are people that die from it. There are people that get blood clots in their brains and die. If you can learn and just research a little bit, if you can get tested, go to an actual hematologist, because I went to like a regular physician and I was like, can you get my blood tested and check? And there's a specific test that you need to take to see if you do have a blood clotting disorder or any type of blood disorder. I highly recommend this for young women as well, because we go through our menstruals and stuff like that. So I do recommend that. And but yeah, so I would just say that I am going to continue my faith and my journey towards learning more about God, my own personal development, and just I guess now that my story's out there, I'll be able to talk to you more about stuff like that. And I just hope that this helps someone, anyone, because it was a lot that I went through, and I am here today. And I know that I'm probably one of many miracles that he's done. I know that you probably have a miracle. So yeah, I love you guys and take care.